There is nowhere else on Earth like Antarctica. Did you know that the highest, windiest, driest, and coldest continent in the planet is Antarctica? These are just a few of the most fascinating Antarctica-related facts. Without a question, one of the most fascinating continents and a place of extremes is Antarctica. It has a hostile climate, no permanent residents, and enormous icebergs that tower skyscraper high. And that's before you consider the incredible aquatic life that calls its frigid waters home. Undoubtedly, a journey to this enormous freezing desert will be fantastic. You'll be able to follow in the footsteps of famous explorers like Ernest Shackleton and others. The enigmatic continent of Antarctica is the subject of many remarkable tales. Discover all the fascinating information about Antarctica on the next video. Hello everyone, this is AWZ. Welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Enjoy. It is a desert in Antarctica. With so much fresh water contained within the ice sheet, how could Antarctica be a desert? This has to be among the most intriguing Antarctica facts. Although most people think of deserts as having dunes and intense heat, a desert need not be dry and sandy. The amount of rain, mist, fog, and snow that falls there determines the name of the desert. Deserts are any region with very little or no annual precipitation. However, over the past 30 years, the South Pole has had an average yearly rainfall of just over 10 millimeters or 0.4 inches. Although there is more precipitation along the coast, Antarctica qualifies as a polar desert because of its generally low average annual rainfall. As a result, despite Antarctica being completely covered in ice, the ice took 45 million years to accumulate to its current thickness. As previously said, Antarctica is one of the windiest, tallest, and coldest places on Earth in addition to being a desert. The largest global reservoir of freshwater is found in Antarctica. 90% of the world's total ice capacity and 70% of its freshwater are currently found in the ice of the Antarctic. There would be enough water if all that ice melted to increase the sea level of the world by 200 feet. The greatest ice sheet in the world covers Antarctica. It is 5.4 million square miles or 14 million square kilometers in size. That covers all of Antarctica's mountain ranges, gorges, and plateaus. Only 1% of Antarctica is never covered with ice. Tourists visit the Antarctic Peninsula in the summer when there is no ice in other regions. Winter in Antarctica lasts from December to March. The ice sheet in Antarctica is 4.5 kilometers or 2.7 miles thick at its thickest point. That's roughly halfway up Mount Everest in comparison. Sea levels would rise by 60 m or 200 feet if the thickest ice sheet in Antarctica melted on its own. The continent of Antarctica wasn't always cold. For about 100 million years, Antarctica sat over the South Pole without completely freezing over. Then, at 34 million years ago, a significant change in the climate occurred. The warm greenhouse climate, which had been consistent ever since the extinction of the dinosaurs, suddenly cooled. At the poles, this created an icehouse that still exists today. Taking into account that Antarctica has the coldest recorded land temperature in the world. Russia's Vostok station measured it there in July 1983 at minus 89.2 degrees Celsius minus 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit. It is difficult to comprehend that the continent was once a balmy, subtropical paradise. Researchers estimate that about 40 to 50 million years ago, temperatures in Antarctica peaked at 17 degrees Celsius 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists have also found fossils that show Antarctica formerly had lush forests covering it and was inhabited by dinosaurs. Identification of Antarctica. The first record of Antarctica was made around the end of January 1820. That was accomplished over the course of a 2-year global mission by the Vostok and Mirny, 2 Russian ships. Captain Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen was in charge of both vessels when they were on a discovery mission for the Russian Empire. Since James Cook over 50 years earlier in 1773, Bellingshausen's ships on January 26, 1820, were the first to cross the Antarctic Circle. The Antarctic does not have a time zone. One of the most bizarre Antarctica facts is shown below. The problem of time is tricky in Antarctica. Since Antarctica is largely uninhabited, there are no official time zones there. All of the Earth's longitudes converge at the South Pole in Antarctica. The many time zones found throughout the world are determined by longitude lines. Therefore, it should be possible to use any time zone there. There are, however, a few research camps that each observe their native time zone. While some stations adhere to the time zones of the nations that operate or supply them, others do the opposite. In Antarctica, the summers last for 6 months straight and the winters are completely dark. Time starts to feel a little strange without the customary indicators for day and night. However, passengers often adhere to the time zone of the country with the port of departure. The North is everywhere. If you are standing at the South Pole, you are on the planet's most southern point. No matter which way you look or face, everything heads north. The reason why the Antarctic Peninsula is referred to as West Antarctica and the region immediately south of Australia as East Antarctica is a mystery. This is based on the prime meridian. From the North Pole to the South Pole, a hypothetical line runs through Greenwich. If you are standing at the South Pole facing Greenwich, everything to your left is west, and everything to your right is east. The world's fastest warming regions are in Antarctica. Compared to many other regions in the world, the Antarctic Peninsula is warming more quickly. One of the areas of the Earth that has warmed up the fastest over the past 50 years is the west coast of the Antarctic Peninsula. In actuality, the Antarctic Peninsula's temperatures have risen by 3 degrees Celsius. Some things have changed as a result, like the location and timing of penguin colony formation and the formation of sea ice. Additionally, it means that the growing season for plants is prolonged. Antarctica has volcanoes that are active. In Antarctica, there are a number of volcanoes, 2 of which are actively active. The second highest mountain in Antarctica and the most southern active volcano in the globe is named Mount Erebus. This Ross Island volcano is famous for its twisted ice sculptures and ice waterfalls, which form around gases that escape from vents close to the crater. Edgeworth David and Douglas Mawson, 2 Australians, led a group to ascend Mt. Erebus for the first time in 1908. After a 5-day, arduous, and extremely cold hike, they reached the steaming crater. The second active volcano is found on Deception Island, a volcanic basin in the South Shetland Islands. It had housed a prosperous whaling station that was later converted into a research station, but after the most recent eruption in 1969, it was abandoned. You may see old whale bones and oil containers that are slowly disintegrating from the old refinery, which makes it an interesting spot to explore. Due to its hot pools, Deception Island is a great location for tourists to take the polar plunge. Antarctica is governed by its own treaty. When Antarctica was originally discovered in 1820, it was the only continent without a native population. The continent was swiftly claimed by a number of nations. Naturally, this caused a great deal of strain. The Antarctic Treaty Framework, a system of international agreements, now governs Antarctica. 12 nations with scientists stationed in or close to Antarctica ratified this convention in 1959. The Antarctic Treaty's founding members included 7 nations with territorial claims. Australia, Argentina, France, Chile, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and Norway were among them. The Antarctic Treaty went into effect in 1961. Since then, a lot of additional nations have endorsed it. All decisions within the Antarctic Treaty System are made by consensus, with cooperation and agreement on the most important issues. The Antarctic Treaty System presently imposes stringent regulations on seal hunting and commercial fishing, as well as a complete ban on mining and mineral exploration. Arctic Frontier of Antarctica. We sincerely hope you have liked learning a few fascinating Antarctica-related facts. There are countless additional lovely and interesting facts that fail to capture the actual beauty and diversity of this chilly continent. Of course, if you want to, you can see it for yourself. The ultimate destination for adventure tourism is increasingly becoming Antarctica. The few tourists who are fortunate enough to visit Antarctica and explore its vast stretches return home forever changed by an encounter that touched them to their very cores. This is all for today. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe our channel. Stay tuned with AWZ.